Welcome back, friends. It's nice to see you on another Tuesday. I hope you're having a fabulous week. I had a pretty fabulous week because I was working on my braid-in rug. And I know that some of you are also working on yours. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to finish the ends of your braid-in rug. I'm also going to recap how to start one and how to get going on your braid-in rug. So if you missed that video, I will go ahead and put it up there. And I'll also give you a short, quick, fast recap just so that you can get started because I know you want to. All those scraps are screaming your name, Nancy's. Just kidding. Anyway, if you want to see how I finish this up and I'll give a couple of tips, you got to stick around. I'm Nye with Ellie and Mac. I'll see you in just a few seconds, my friends. Welcome back. I'm glad you came back. I hope you had a snack and maybe a bathroom break or something because you do not want to miss this little tutorial, okay? Because you want to finish your braid-in rug. What we don't want is for you to start using it and it just falls apart. Nobody wants things that fall apart, except maybe Nancy. Okay, so if you'll notice, I have my iPad here because I want you to be able to see what I'm doing up close. It's very importante. So let's get started with a little recap. You're going to need 4 strips of fabric. You're going to need about 4 darning needles or 4 darning needles. These are used for embroidery, hand embroidery, and things of that nature. You're going to need a sewing needle and a very small piece of thread, or you can use your sewing machine. Now, to get started, you take your first 2 pieces or 3 pieces and lay them on top of one another. You're going to sew a quick stitch across the short edge here. And I'll show you. Now I'm not doing anything super pretty. I'm literally just zigzagging through the top of these because it doesn't need to be fancy. It just needs to hold them together so that I can braid them. So I'll pull my thread through and then I'll go back one more time so I can tie it off. Okay. You can even do this with your sewing machine if you like, but you really do not have to. Like literally, you don't need to touch your sewing machine. Although I know you probably want to because it probably is like needing some attention. Mine is always needing some attention. Okay, so then you just tie a knot. Right? Easy peasy. Here we go. Bloop, like my sound effects. All right, so now you have 3 pieces and you want to braid those pieces. So now you have your braided pieces. I did not braid this very long because as you can see, my pieces are very short. So now this is the braid in part. You take this piece and you want to turn a little U with your little pieces, okay? Now this is the second time you're going to use your sewing machine or your little needle and thread. Now you're going to take your 4th piece and you're going to sew it into the middle of your other pieces. So you just want to kind of sew it. Look, so you can, I'm going to show you here on my iPad so you can see. All right, I'm going to take it here. You see, these are the 3 pieces. This is my braid. I flip it down and these 3 pieces here are like this. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to sew that 4th piece underneath this one that's going in the middle, okay? Take this 4th piece, tuck it under the piece that's going through the middle next, and just sew it to the back of that one. Because we basically are just hiding the little ends, but we want it to hold on. So we just sew that little thing in there. Get in there. Yeah, get in there. Okay, I need to stop. This is not a party, but it is a party. This is how I party. I party so hard. serious. I tell people all the time, like all my mom friends, I'm like, yo, let's be real. I party so hard up in here. It's called sewing and like maybe a beer. Yeah, I'm a nerd, whatever. So, so here we go. I have my 4 pieces now. It's all sewn in. You see that? Okay, so you take your pieces like this and you fold them over. Oops. Okay. And now you are ready to continue with your, oops, let me braid my braid back in. Okay, now you are ready to continue with your weaving here. And you have 4 pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you're gonna fold all of those or roll them all over. So like a ponytail, just like that, like they're hanging. Okay, now you wanna start weaving them. So this is the one you weave from the outside. You wanna go under, over, under, and then through. Under, over, under, and then find the first loop, which is this right here. Beep, beep, and go through. Now, I'm going to quickly show you how to connect pieces. Eventually, you run out of strips. So, in order to make new strips, you take your scissors and your fabric, snip a little hole there on the end, fold the fabric over, snip a little hole. So you have 2 pieces with holes at the back, at the bottom. So you stick 1 piece through, and then you take that same piece and you put the bottom of the other through and you pull. Magic. We get to our actual, I'm going to call it a placemat because it's really too small to call anything else, and it's really too big to call it like saucer. But you can totally make tiny little saucers out of these too, or like cup holders and like those little round things that people put in their cars to absorb if they spill. Excellent for that. Anyway, so there you see that I have my little pieces. Oops. Okay, so I have 4 strips here, and they've all ended in different places, which is good because you don't want them to end in the same place, because if they end in the same place, then you're going to be weaving them through in the same place. So what you want to do is you want to continue weaving them until you have just a little bit left. Like so, this one right here has probably about 2 inches left. So I'm going to go ahead and weave that in and show you how. I take this piece, and I'm going to hold it like this. I take this piece and I weave it over, or actually, oh, it's not on the inside. Okay, so I wait until the little piece is actually in a place where it's going through the carpet loop. So since this one is next, I'm going to weave that first, over, under. It's like braiding hair. If you can braid hair, you can braid a carpet, and through. Okay, so now I have this short piece on the outer corner here. You see it? All 4 pieces, and my short piece is here. So I will take my short piece and I will weave it through until I get to the edge of the rug here. Under, over, under. And now that I have that little piece there, you see it right there, I'm going to take it and I'm going to weave it all the way through. So I will attach it to one of my little darning needles, and be careful with these darning needles because although they're not sharp, they sometimes like to pierce the little fabric loops. And so if you find that you're getting a little bit of resistance, it's probably because your darning needle has gone through one of the actual fabric loops and not through like the free area there. So now I will take this little loop here and I'm going to go through here. See, you just pick a loop that's free and you go through, right? And then I'm going to find another loop, maybe through here. Okay, so here, let me make it so you can see. I'll find another loop like maybe here, go through that one, Okay, pull it through. And then you just find random loops and just kind of loop it through your rug. See, now I'm catching the little loop and I'm not going through, but I'm actually going through the fabric itself. And you don't want to do that. You want to go through between the little woven spots. So there, pull that through. And then I'm going to pull this one to the back here. Pull it to the back, you know, weave it through another loop. You see, so it's getting confused right now. That's the whole point. So I pulled it to the back and I put it through another loop right here. And I'm going to pull it through there. See, because you have so many loops that you probably won't even see it. So basically that's all you're going to do is weave it through all these little miscellaneous areas deep into your rug. Okay, that way it has a hard time unraveling and finding its way out. If you want, you can take your little sewing needle with a little bit of thread and just tack that thing in. Okay, so now you can see it's on the back. Right there is where it came out. And so what I can do is I can continue tucking it in. I can tuck it in this one right here to get rid of that little frayed, not frayed because it's a knit, knits don't fray, right? I could just tuck it right in, or I can, and I can also choose to make a tiny little stitch. So I just tucked that bad thing in there, and okay, so that's it. Now you have your little edge, one of your little edges done. And so all you're going to do is you're going to continue weaving with your outside strip. See, now I only have 3. 1, 2, 3. You're just going to keep weaving until you run out of loops. And then when you have a shorter piece, and even you can just cut them and continue weaving them through. I'm not going to do that because I'm actually going to finish this. I want to keep going. So basically that's what you're going to do. You just keep on braiding over, under. Now for this, it's just going to be over, under, and then through the loop because there's only 3 pieces. So you just braid it and then you'll weave that thing in there. We'll just pretend we weaved it in, right? So you just weave them all in until eventually you have finished your little curve and everything is woven into the edge of your rug. Let's talk about tips. If you notice that your rug or mat is doing this, like a potato chip or like a bowl, first of all, I think that's a super cute platter. But I'm not going to use it like that. So I want it to be flat. And there's going to be a little bit of curling up at the sides because you're using a knit and they stretch. However, what you don't want is to create a situation where it stays like this. If you find that your rug is starting to curl, it means that 1, you're making your stitches too tight, or 2, you're not adding enough loops to your item. And the thing is that, you know, as you're going around in circles, if you never add loops, it's going to stay the same size. And so essentially you're going to end up with a giant sock or basket because you're not giving it space to grow. I tend to add loops around the corners. This is how it looks when you're braiding it. So you can see here it's pretty squared off, right? But if you get to the point where you're weaving and your outside loop is coming from all the way up here and trying to come all the way down here and it's completely slanted, it means that you need to add loops. And that usually happens right around the curves, okay? So you'll just double weave it. When you weave it through, you're gonna go through the rug at the same loop that you did the previous time. So now you have 2 loops, which gives you twice the space, which should bring your weaving a little bit more down and a little bit more square. Sometimes I get to a point where it's kind of large and I can't just add one loop at the corner. So what I have to do is double loop one, skip, and then double loop another one. And by skip, I mean don't double loop the next one, but then double loop the one after that. And you'll kind of get the hang of it over time as you practice. It really does take quite a bit of practice. I'm not gonna lie, I have made a few potato chips. And even this one is not perfect. Like you can see it's a little lumpy right here because that's where I got a little bit tighter with my stitches. So if you start off with a certain tension, you want to stay with that tension because it's going to show. It will be very lumpy in places where you were loosely weaving, and it will be very flat in areas where you were tightly weaving. So try to keep the same amount of tension as you go around. Practice makes perfect. We've all got lots of scraps, so we have plenty of practice that we can be doing, right? Right. There is no hard, fast rule to the width or the length of the fabric that you can be using. Just remember when you cut really, really long strips that it's going to take forever to pull those things through. But also if you make very short strips, you're going to have a lot of knots that you have to tie around the edges of your carpet. So what you want to do is kind of come in between the middle, not too long, not too short. And once again, and I know I've said this, don't come for me, practice makes perfect. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I'm going to go ahead and keep working on this. I've got a long week. Let's go ahead and have a lovely week. Let's get some sewing done. Yes, sew all the things. I'll see you next week. Bye, friends.